Good afternoon everyone and welcome to the pre-match press conference as the CommBank Matildas host Brazil. The first match of the series is on 23 October at CommBank Stadium in Parramatta with kick-off at 7:45 p.m. For today's conference we have CommBank Matildas Head Coach Tony Gustavsson. Thanks for joining us, Tony. As always, to ask a question please use the raise hand function on the Zoom and I will attend to you. Before Tony addresses the match coming up, he has some brief comments on the events that have currently been happening in relation to women's football in Australia. Thanks, Tony.
Well, thanks, Anne. Before I do that, I just want to take the opportunity to thank you all for joining. I was informed by Anne here that there's plenty of more attendance to this press conference than anyone I've been in before. I just wish I could be there in a room with you to meet you personally. My first time being in Australia. I can't wait to work with you towards the World Cup in 23. So again, thanks for showing your interest and passion in the Matildas and our team. And in regards to the recent events, with the risk of me repeating myself from the announcement I did earlier this week, I want to show the respect and support to everyone that is in the middle of the center of this. I understand how challenging that is for everyone, including the ones that love our game and love our team. I also want to make sure that I'm very clear on the well-being of the players and the staff in the team is the #1 priority for us. And we need to do everything in our power to make sure we create a safe and inclusive environment in the Matildas. And the third thing I want to say is we need to face this heads on and be willing to try to get one day better in every aspect, on the field and off the field, and welcoming the independent review that's coming up. And if I am informed correctly here, Anne, I think there's going to be an announcement very shortly about the details of that independent review.
Yeah, that's correct, Tony. That's pretty imminent.
Okay.
Thanks, Tony. Before we get into the questions from the floor or in this COVID world, the screen, can you tell us a little bit about how preparations have gone ahead of the kick-off tomorrow?
Yes, well, first of all, it was a little bit of a different start of this camp. Obviously, when you come into a FIFA window, players arrive in different days because they play games in different days before the FIFA window. But this has been a little bit of an extreme when it comes to the exemption coming into Australia. And I once again want to take the opportunity to thank New South Wales government for making this possible for us. Coming in was a little bit different and challenging. So we had players arrive on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday. So first, in the beginning of the camp was to get everyone up and running and be on the same page physically so that we can go out in the field and trade the high-intensity football that we want to play. So first days it was about recovery, treating the jet lag, getting players up and running. Yesterday was kind of the first session that we could go really hard and intense like we normally do and play our high-intensity pressing game and high-tempo attacking game and kind of go into the details of the game plans. And then we used the time today to have more individual meetings and subgroup meetings to nail down the game plan individually and in subgroups, because we need to use the time a little bit different this camp with very short lead up to the first game. We need to get everyone on the same page by using double sessions, maybe not double sessions on the field, but double sessions in the meeting rooms as well. Last night we added a walkthrough, for example. We drove to the stadium and had a walkthrough at night. By the way, beautiful night, beautiful stadium, what an atmosphere, playing, starting to take photos and felt that good vibe. And we had a walkthrough about tactics going into that Brazil game as well. Other than that, I'll say it's been, for me, a privilege to, for the first time, coming to Australia. As you all know, I started this job the 1st of January this year. I've only had 3 camps plus the Olympics with the team so far. So now, being the first time in Australia, I think the team have a head coach that might peak with excitement and before the game even starts. I need to put the brakes a little bit on myself to make sure I peak on game day. But that's where we're at. And then today we're going to fine tune those details last game or last training before the game. So today we fine tune a little bit set plays and all those things leading into the game tomorrow.
Thanks very much, Tony. We'll open it up to questions. I've got a couple of raised hands already. If you do want to ask a question, please do so. And I will do it in order of the hands that I've got here. So, Tracy Holmes. Are you good to go, Tracy?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sorry. difficulty with the mic. Tony, it's been quite a year. I wonder if you can explain what you're looking from out of this series, if the end goal is still the World Cup and each of these are just building blocks, and then how you keep a team focused on what their job is on the field when there are these other distractions outside, such as the ones you've referred to with the Lisa Devan allegations.
Well, now you really sparked the leader in me in terms of high performance environment. We're actually standing on the 17th floor at the hotel now, which normally is the coach's room when we do all the planning and preparation. And excuse me if I use the board now, Tracy, but you kind of trigger the teacher in me. So I'm actually going to use the board now to kind of explain what I do. I don't know if this is this visual okay? Yeah, we can see it. So what do I do in order to help them perform? Well, I use this metaphor, like at any high performance environment, there's a lot of pressure from the outside. Pressure, expectations, that could be, for example, we lost against Ireland. Everyone now expects us to kick back and win against Brazil. It could be other type of disturbance, so to speak, or pressure that comes from the outside. But in a high performance environment, there's also a lot of pressure from the inside, within ourselves. Like me as a coach, for example, I have really high expectations about these games, or the group and the players and so forth, right? So in between these pressures from the outside and the inside is what I call the high performance zone, okay? And if you want to be part of a successful team that can win things, you need to be able to perform in thin air, meaning this performance zone is very thin because there's a lot of pressure from the outside and a lot of pressure from the inside. If there were no pressure out here, meaning the circle will be out here, and very limited pressure from the inside, and you have this huge performance zone, I'm not sure you're successful because that's kind of a comfort zone, so to speak. So I think, sorry again for bringing that board in, but you kind of, you trigger my passion there as a leader. But I think what I'm trying to do is to explain for players and staff that if we genuinely want to be that team that can lift the trophy in 23, we need to get used to perform under pressure and look at pressure as a privilege, because that means there's a lot of interest in our team. And the fact that there's a lot of interest in our team is a good thing, not a hard thing and have a heavy shoulder, so to speak. So I guess that's been kind of my approach in this camp, to say, hey, let's use this as a perfect opportunity to train what's coming in the World Cup, meaning a lot of interest, a lot of pressure from the outside, but also keep the expectation and pressure from the inside to be able to still perform.
Thanks, Tracy. David Mark.
Thanks, Anne. Thanks, Tony. I want to know, how far off do you think this group is from being able to execute the game plan, the game style that you'd like to see them play, given that, as you said, you only have them for such small windows?
I think I answer that in two sections, if it's okay. I'll first talk about the preparation for the Olympics, where we had extremely little time to get ready for a tournament. I had 2 camps in April and June. Still, I felt I had a confidence to actually change the system at the time to a 3-4-3. And the reason why is I wanted to base it to get the most out of the players, but also based it on the draw with the group that we were put in to make sure I could get the best out of it tactically. And in very short time, I felt we were able, even though I know that there was some criticism about our performance leading into the Olympics, but I wasn't really stressed about that because I was in a prep mode. And I think I have to credit the players here, their ability to perform with such a short notice and prep time and still create that historic result to be the first team ever to go to the semi-final, I think was good. What I did then is I kind of closed that chapter, and then I checked in a start of a new chapter starting September in Ireland to look at, okay, in 23, what do we want to look like? And use the September camp as a kind of a launching pad into a new journey. And I'd say right now, we're not where we need to be and where we want to be, but that doesn't mean we're in a bad place. But we're in a development. You know, when you grow, you go through some growth pains. I use an analogy a lot of times from a golfer. If someone plays golf, I try to when I have time. But a golfer that's trying to learn a new swing, when they're on the range trying to learn that new grip, a new backswing and hit the ball and overthink things, and they go out on the course and play, normally they don't score very well and don't hit the ball very well. But once they got that new swing set, they hit the ball better than they did previously, and now they can score better than they did before. And we're in that process right now where you might see a little bit lack of ability to perform when we overthink things, but we need to go through that growth progress to come out on the other side of that development journey to be ready to lift the trophy in 23. But also in a short-term prep for Nation Cup. We can't forget that we have a Nation Cup coming up as well.
Thanks, David. Vince Rigari.
Hey Tony, welcome to Australia.
Thank you.
Just wanted to get your thoughts generally on what's happening around the world in women's football. Like the stuff with Lisa is obviously not isolated here. There's a bit of a movement that's happening around the world in many countries, and you've coached in many countries at many different levels. Just curious to know, what you think about it, and if this is a good thing that women's football is going through, because obviously it is, it's gone from semi-professionalism not long ago to a fully professional environment very quickly, and there's probably some kinks that could be ironed out through that.
Yeah, to answer that in two sections, I think first of all, the growth of women's game has been huge, even the short time I've been involved in it. Just to give you one example, I had the privilege to see Häcken play Lyon in Champions League down in Gothenburg with a full stadium, fantastic atmosphere. Then I went to the Derby in Sweden with some Matilda players were able to see it as well, with 18,000 in the stand in a local derby in Swedish league. So the women's game is really grown and growing fast. But that also means that the women's game is going to be more in the spotlight, it's going to be more interest, like now, more people in this press conference, which is brilliant. What I'd say about the event as a whole, I'm a teacher by degree. I'm a dad to 2 kids. I've been coaching for over 20 years. What I try to focus is to be the best version of myself, to control my environment and what I can control, and do everything in my power together with my staff to create the best high performance environment possible, but with the well-being of the people at the center of everything we do. But that's also why I want to be clear. I'm probably far from perfect, but I try to be. And I try to do everything within my power to control my environment so that that's the best possible can be. Whether that was me working in the men's game before or in the women's game, whether it's me being a teacher in a classroom, because at school you're sometimes working with the same issues. And for me, that's zero tolerance. We have to live by that as well, and not just a word. It has to be the zero tolerance approach, when no bullying, no harassment, no sexual abuse. And I try to do everything in my power to control my environment in that sense.
Thanks, Vince. Julian Linden.
Thanks, Anne. Hi, Tony. Look, you said in your opening comments that you wanted to face things front on in the wake of Lisa coming forward with her experience, but you're also very mindful about the welfare of your players. With that in mind, can you sort of just talk through a little bit of the process, what's happened in the last week? Like, how did you guys go about it? Did you have an all-in meeting with everybody? Have you had one-on-one conversations? And so how was that how was that played out this week? And the second question, it's natural for people to be hesitant to come forward with things if they're shy. If there was anyone in the team who had something to report, what advice would you give them?
Let's answer the second question first, if okay. Like I said in that statement, I think it's very important that we encourage people to come forward and that we create a safe and supportive environment for people to do so. So I would definitely encourage them to do so. But as I also said, I want to welcome that independent review so that people can feel it's not sensitive maybe to come to a coach or it's going to influence selection in the team and so, because we support them to do it and we have experts helping us doing that. So that's answering the second question. The first question is, that first drawing that I did, I actually had a meeting with the staff coming in the first camp. I want to be respectful to the staff and players and not reveal everything we do in camp, but the one thing I did at that circle that I draw from you, I actually did for the staff as well, and kind of explained for the staff that when the player comes in now, for natural reasons, there's more pressure from the outside at this moment than when they came into the camp last time. Same as when they came into the Olympics, there's more pressure than when they came into the Ireland game in September, meaning when there's tournament mode is different than when it's a friendly. When there's more talks about things out there, there's more pressure. And then what I told the staff then is we need to make sure that, one, we keep the high performance standards as a coaching staff, but at the same time, We need to make sure that we're extremely supportive, we listen, we're there for them, and we make sure we create this inclusive environment. And then after that, when the players arrive, we always have an environment where people know they can talk to us. And I'm so happy that I also have experts around me, like a psychologist, a high performance manager, a well-being manager. So this is not just about me. I'm doing everything I can, but I'm really happy to also have experts around me to create this environment where they can feel that they can talk about things when need be.
Thanks so much, Julian. Ben Hammerley.
Hi, Tony. Welcome to Australia. My question's actually kind of similar. I was wondering how the players are feeling, because it might be a bit bittersweet for them. They were so looking forward to playing a home match, but it's at a time where there's negative publicity around the team. And how keen are they to get out there and give people something positive to talk about?
Well, the last part of your question, I think, is actually the answer to that question, meaning I'm really impressed about the professionalism with these players and the way their mindset is always about getting one day better. Whether that's technically, tactically, physically, mentally, and then the excitement of being home in Australia for the first time in 600 days to play in front of home crowd and also almost a full stadium, and then against a top opponent like Brazil that is normally very exciting games. I feel there's bubbling within the players right now. It's like they can't wait to get that game to kick off and do what they love, and that's represented their country and wear that crest on their chest and play their best. So I actually feel there's tons of motivating out there to play this game together with the fans in the stands.
Thanks so much, Ben. Joey Lynch.
Thanks, Anne. Hi, Tony. Hope you're enjoying the limited views of Australia thus far. One of the things that's probably easily identifiable as needing a bit of work thus far has been the Matildas' defence. I think 30 goals conceded in your 12 games in charge thus far. You've talked about new system, you've been trying plays in different positions. I think you've got 10 defenders in the squad for the Brazil games. What sort of improvements are you looking for in these games and the months ahead from that unit?
Great question, spot on with your analysis of our game as well. Let me start by once again emphasize what I've done before. If I was a coach 15 years ago, I think maybe the answer would have been, hey, we need to park the bus, we need to keep it tight, we can't keep conceding goals like this, we need to keep a clean sheet and maybe get a transition moment with Sam and score 1-0 and win a game. That's not what this team is about. That's not what our fans want to see. The identity of the Matilda is always going to be that we take a step forward, that we're very aggressive in our pressing game, we want to have an attacking mindset, we're going to go and attack with a lot of people in the goal zone and go score a lot of goals. Because at the flip side of that analysis that you've done, we've also shown that we can score a lot of goals, even against the top quality opponents. So our challenge now is to say, can we stay true to who we are, but still defend better? You know, without being conservative. Can we defend with a lot of spaces around us? Whether that's the individual defending from the player there, or whether it's the way we play, how we get dispossessed, when we get dispossessed, we're not off balance, what positioning do we have behind the ball when we do lose it? Things like that, and those are the nuances. Like I said, we're a little bit in a growth pain here, development, like that new swing that we're learning. And I think that's up to me as a coach as well to identify where we are and how far we've come and what we need to do to take this team where it needs to be. You're definitely going to see start of the game tomorrow when we are going to be extremely aggressive, as always, and there's going to be space. That means most likely Brazil is going to try to utilize some space behind and play some early ball in behind, and they have pace as well. And we need to, first of all, stop that one and do a better job at stopping that type of game. But also when it's played, we need to be able to better read it and defend it better. And we actually done some work on that. Actually, some of the subgroup meetings we had today was about that. You know, how can we deny that to happen? But also when it happens, how can we do it better? The other thing that we are doing, which I will take time to do, and here I want to be clear, I want to protect the players a little bit here, because yes, we conceded a lot of goals, but if you should criticize someone for that, it's me. Because I'm putting the players through a process here where it's all about preparation. And in my opinion, but that's just my opinion, I'm not saying this to protect me and the team, but in my opinion, the only thing that matters is that we come to a semi-final in the Olympics. And all the friendlies leading into that was a preparation to be able to perform in the Olympics. And it's the same thing now, the Ireland game, the Brazil's game, and the November camp coming up. is preparations in order to perform in the Asian Cup. Doesn't mean we don't want to win, but I'm not going to try to win on the expense of losing time to develop the team to where I think it needs to be. So if, for example, someone told me that, hey Tony, just so you know, there's a lot of pressure for you to win here now in this camp. Everyone expects you have to win some games. And you know what? Yes, we want to win every game we play, but I'm not going to change my mindset in terms of putting this team through these preparation that I think is very, very important to then win something in Asian Cup. And if we don't perform there, I'm the first one to take that hit. I'll be okay with that. But we're going to go through this preparation period and try to do everything we can to be better defensively. Because I agree, we need to be better defensively, but still stay true to who we are. Sorry for that long answer, but these are so great questions. You trigger the coach in me in everything that I'm passionate about. So thanks for all the great questions.
Thanks, Joey. Samantha Lewis.
Hi, and hi Tony, sorry, my question was already answered, but I figure I'll ask you this now as well. The Matildas against Brazil is one of the great rivalries in international women's football. I mean, you've sort of seen it from afar as well when you were with the US. How excited are you to be part of this dynamic for the first time?
I'm extremely dynamic, or extremely excited. And honestly, I was told today exactly what you said. Some of the players said, hey Tony, you know the previous games against Brazil? And I said, yes, I've seen every single one of them. You know, won the last 5 games against them, and who doesn't remember the miracle of Montpellier? I mean, that never say die attitude and turned that game around in 2019. So that excitement that exists within this group to play Brazil is definitely spread to me as well. And there's so many things. And I want to say this, I hope this is not interpreted as me being disrespectful to the other important things that's talked about now, meaning all the events in women's football. But there's so many things to be excited about here. I mean, first time on home soil in 600 days, playing Brazil. We have Alana Kennedy, who's a local player, playing her 100 caps. I mean, there's so many things to be excited about going into this game. And I hope that excitement is the things that's going to take over. So we have this fantastic 90 minutes plus of football so that we can celebrate the women's game in that sense tomorrow.
Thanks, Sam. Isabel Coates.
Hi Tony, welcome to Australia firstly, and I guess the question I have is a bit localised. Carly Ross-Buckins obviously made her return to the pitch for the first time in about 6 months, so I just wanted to know how her journey was going back in the Matildas and what part you kind of see her playing in these 2 matches.
Carly had shown tremendous commitment to come back. She's gone through a tough rehab process with some setbacks, and I also have to credit her club, because the majority of the rehab and the majority of the training that the players do, they do in clubland. But at the same time, I had to credit our SSM team, our sports science and sport medicine team, for the support and the expertise they have given her. So Carly's commitment and the people around her, the fact that she's now back on the park training fully, is amazing. And you can see the excitement of her as well. And what we need to do with her a little bit is kind of hold her back a little bit, because coming back like that, the first time after injury, you tend to be so excited that you might overdo things, and we don't want to have another setback here. So in cooperation with her club team, we agree that she can only play limited of minutes in these 2 games. So she might see the park, yes, but it might be in limited minutes, because it's all about making sure that she's with us in the long run. She's looked sharp in training. She has some tempo improvement to do, which is natural when you come back from injury. But the only way to get back on that is to get back on the park, which she has now. So again, huge credit to Carly to come back. And you can see also how much she gives the team off the field. She's a phenomenal person as well, not just a good player.
Thanks, Isabel. Emma Lawrence.
Hi Tony, certainly love your passion, so I apologise to harp once again on the outside noise, but my question was just in relation to that. Given, I know you are new, but given the questions around the culture of the group historically, in your time so far, how would you describe the culture of this Matildas group? And secondly, how do you describe your emotions when you first heard of these allegations?
I'll answer the second question first there. I was shocked, as was many of us. And also, as you've seen, I'm a very emotional person. I have the emotions on the outside of me. I can't hide from that. You know, I'm happy when I'm happy. I'm sad when I'm sad. I'm angry when I'm angry. I'm a passionate person, and I think there was a lot of emotions going through me at that time. So I just felt straight away we need to do everything we can to support the people that is in the center of this. And then answer the first part of the question, my experience in the team. I first want to say, normally I have no problem to talk like this. You know, I know what to say, how to say it, but in this instance it's very difficult to know how to say it, because first of all I want to respect your question, because I think it's a fair and very good question. Secondly, I want to respect the people that is in the middle of the center of all these tough things, like showing the respect and support for those people. So when I then say about my experience that has been nothing but positive, I hope it's not interpreted as me not respecting the people that might have a different experience than me. But honestly, the short time I've been with the team, I started the 1st of January, and like I said, I had 3 camps plus the Olympics. I have to answer honestly, I have nothing but positive experiences. I am the proudest and happiest coach in the international game of football to be a coach for the Matildas. I mean, every time I'm out of camp, I'm longing to get back into camp. The excitement to get back in, like you can ask my family back home, like the days before the camp, is kind of like, you know, I'm like a kid before Christmas. You know, I can't wait to get in to meet the players and the staff. So my experience, I have to say, has been nothing but extremely positive. The professionalism, the high performance mindset, the willingness to always get better, and then the chemistry, the unity, the family feeling that the staff and players is giving in this environment. It's just I'm so proud and happy to be part of it. And at the end of that question, I also want to say that doesn't mean we should stop there. We need to still do everything we can to get one day better, to do everything we can to make sure we improve on and off the field.
Well, you've definitely struggled with the lack of high fives, let me tell you, in camp. Final question, Kieran Yap.
Hi Tony. After the Ireland game, you admitted that you were quite emotional about the way the team played and the result. With the benefit of a bit of time, have you worked out what was missing, and was it an easy fix?
I definitely did an in-depth analysis, and as you know, after that game, I maybe was a little bit of the defending and the commitment to run, to press, to challenge in one-on-one duels, and I felt we played an Ireland team that was more desperate than we were. They wanted it more, maybe because they had lack of result for 7-8 games, and they were closing into World Cup qualifier, and we kind of came off the Olympics, the first camp after the Olympics, and kind of mentally relaxed might not be the right word, but we did some physical testing in the beginning of the camp, and maybe I as a coach made it feel more like a pre-season camp kind of thing. And the other thing I identify is that I put a lot of emphasis in us honoring Sam's 100 cap going into that game, to really make sure that we send her off on that 100 game with a goal and a good feeling. And I think what happened when I looked at the video afterwards is that we went route north all the time because the players wanted to give Sam that goal so much. So I think we didn't really play the way we wanted to play because we're so keen to get the ball to Sam to score that goal. So that's a little bit on me. The other thing I want to say, and again I take ownership on this, the one thing we didn't train on the field before the game was defending set plays. We only covered it in video session. Normally we always cover every phase of the play during the time on the field, but with all the physical testing, all the things we did in advance, we had very limited time to prep the game tactically, and I prioritized to not do the defending set plays in that game, and everyone that saw it saw that we cut 3 goals on defending set plays. So that's on me. That's my responsibility. I can't criticize the players for that. Can we fix that? Is that an easy fix? Yes. We're still gonna have to work on defending set plays, and Brazil is a really good team in attacking set play, by the way. They scored against Argentina. They have aerial presence, but going out to the field and train that, definitely something we have to do and need to do. So I did identify some things there. The other thing I want to say here, and again, I don't want to make excuses for the loss, but when I looked at the game again and I looked at the statistics, actually statistically, it was the game that we dominated the most since the day I arrived as a coach. When it comes to possession, passes, final third entries, shots on goal, set plays, all of those things. But some easy goals on set plays and some lack of quality in that final third that I talked about, the final pass, that hurt us in that game, and that has to improve against Brazil.
Thanks so much, Kieran. And that is bang on 2 o'clock. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining.
Sorry, I had a quick question.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah. Oh, sorry, Josh. Sorry, apologies. Final question. Sorry.
Thank you. I'll make it quick, but similar to Isabel, it's a localised question. Taking on an experienced side like Brazil, how important is Caitlin Ford's experience and now stuff forward?
Sorry, say that one more time. I couldn't hear it.
That's all right. Can you hear me, mate?
Yeah, better now. Yeah, thank you.
Just want to, just taking on an experienced side like Brazil, how important is Caitlin Ford in that front third and her experience for the side?
Well, Caitlin is always important to us for different reasons. One, her individual skill set on the ball. The way she can slide out of pressure, the way she can connect with Sam in the front three, and also the way she helps us in our pressing game. She's a smart defender and she commits to run without the ball. I also know that, you know, playing here and playing Brazil is most likely going to motivate her even more. So she's definitely important to us. We need to remember she's also coming back from a little bit of a rehab process in Clubland. So she's also one of those that the M team have told me to be a little bit mindful about in terms of the total playing time. Is she available for selection? Yes, but we also need to balance this. So when you see some rotation during these 2 games, it could be tactical reasons that I want to see things, but it can also be protection of players so we don't expose them to the risk of maybe get a setback. And Caitlin Ford is one of them. Kaya Simon is another one coming back from injury. We mentioned Carly, but they're all available for selection, but it might be some limitation on minutes there. So I'm really looking forward to see Caitlin back on the field, especially because I didn't manage to see her in the recent games.